Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant Mum video. Today I'm doing a review of the 13th Doctor Collector's Set, I think is what I'm gonna call it. I can't remember what it's called, and I have, of this recording, which is the 28th of November 2022, I have binned, well, not binned, but recycled the packaging for this, so I don't actually know the official title / name for this set, but it also retails for I want to say $21.99 off the bandm website, which so you can order this 3-pack from there, which is what I did, and it doesn't take too long to get to where you are, I don't think. I suppose it maybe just depends on if you are actually local to a bandm store and that. So yeah, now I've got this 3-pack and of course the other 3-pack, which was the 9th Doctor set, or Collector's set, and yeah, so as of, if I could speak properly that'd be great. As of this recording, I'm just waiting / in process of purchasing and acquiring the Genesis Creator and Dalek set, I think it's called. I think that's the last one that I need to complete this second half of the wave of B&M figure releases. So yeah, depending on, I'll go through the Weeping Angel first. Depending on which set you buy, you get either a screaming face or a solemn expression face, which I suppose the major difference would be the hands, where they're more sort of like cupped, I suppose, if you get the solemn one, so you can make it kind of like cover its eyes. Whereas this one is in more, for lack of a better term, like attack mode, where it's got like the sort of fanged, sort of tippy tips at the end of its fingers, and the sort of more, for lack of a better term, like scary sort of face. But both will still be in this sort of translucent blue, holographic-y blue sort of thing. And I have totally forgotten to get the Series 5 holographic Weeping Angel to compare between the two, but it is pretty much the same figure, minus the fact that this one is screaming and that one was a solemn one, but that one was also in this sort of white translucent plastic, whereas this is in this sort of blue translucent plastic. Really cool. I actually quite like this figure in hand, and it's to sort of mimic / replicate the scene from not Haunting of Villa Diodati, the Village of the Angel by the same writer who did Haunting of Villa Diodati, but the bit where the Weeping Angel comes out of the TV and tries to attack Jericho. And I think this is a decent way of doing that. I mean, yeah, it works for me, and the wings are movable, so you can have it kind of like, yeah, if you wanted to kind of, I don't know why, but if you wanted to animate the wings moving in a stop motion thing, you could do. And as I say, depending on which version of this set you get, the other two figures would be the same, but you'd get a different, the different version of this figure, which is the solemn version, which I think's a bit naughty on Character Options' part, personally, because I would have easily just included a, removable hands and removable head, and then that way you could have both figures in one. Or like my mum said or suggested, maybe have them as a 2-pack and then have this and then the other Weeping Angel as a 2-pack. So you could have had, I don't know, like Twice Upon Time / Eve of the Dalek set, or 13 / or Friends of the 13th Doctor pack, and then a sort of Monsters of the 13th pack, or the Weeping Angel, holographic Weeping Angel 2-pack, and that maybe. But yeah, enough said about that one. Moving on to Yaz, Yasmin Khan, you've got a new figure here, or a new variant, I should say, of the original Yaz. I much prefer this new one, personally. I think she's got a better hair sculpt. just the hair in a sort of ponytail. I quite like that look. I also quite like the sort of shirt, which is this black with this sort of blood splattered sort of red sort of almost design. It just feels a bit more like mature for some reason. Black trousers with black these black like shoes, whereas in the original one it was sort of denim jeans with these brown shoes, or black and then brown shoes. She's still got like sort of dark lips or dark lipstick, whereas I think on the original one it was a lighter lipstick. Yeah, I think the new one is just a bit better. I think you've got a light brown sort of belt, I suppose, to go with the sort of darker pants, and to contrast with the dark brown jacket. Whereas I suppose this one is a bit more lighter brown, the original one. And I just genuinely think this new one's just a better figure. Although I suppose because of the ponytail, obviously you can't. The ponytail is all one big plastic piece. You can't really move the head, or you can move the head side to side a bit. But obviously, if you tried to do full 360, then you would snap that. Whereas you can do full Well, no, you can't even really do full 360 on the original one either because of the long sort of hair pieces coming down. So, and then obviously standard sort of articulation for a character options figure, and waist articulation side to side with the head, and full 360 arms and that, and then you can move the hands as well and whatnot. I think it's a nice that we've got a variant of Yaz. I suppose it makes more sense to have a variant of Yaz, seeing as she's the only 13th Doctor, or friend, companion, whatever you want to call her, of the 13th Doctor that, for lack of a better term, survives or makes it all the way from Woman Who Fell to Earth to Power of the Doctor. So, and I much prefer the idea of having a variant of Yaz as opposed to, say, Ryan, because again, he leaves sort of partway through the 13th Doctor tenure, and wasn't in Power of the Doctor, spoiler alert for that story, but yeah. So again, and it's of a variant of her in one of the more recent stories as well. So, if you're a Phasmin fan, then that's awesome, or just a fan of the 13th Doctor run anyway, then it's a win-win, I suppose. And they already had sort of like this figure existing, and it was fairly recent. I think this figure came out back in like 2018, 19-ish, so just sort of a year or so before the COVID pandemic hit the world. So, it would have been like an Eccleston situation where they had to redo it from the ground up sort of thing because they'd lost the original mould sort of thing. But yeah, onto the 13th Doctor. I think this is a really, really simple but effective, I think, personally, variant. It's just a case of, dark blue for the coat. You see her have this in Twice Upon Time, but also in the, for lack of a better term, like Mind Palace sort of like sequence in Power of the Doctor, spoiler alert for that story, but you see her wear this sort of jacket when she's in the Edge of Reality sort of place, I think it's called. I can't remember if it was called Edge of Reality, but you've got the, well, not original figure, but one with the bum bag, but these are the two. You've got this sort of darker yellow now with more of a brownish sort of head sculpt, I suppose. I think the head sculpt is better on the new one, personally. I mean, I don't mind either. And the now that she's got this sort of dark blue, the sort of highlights of the rainbow on the jacket really pop, I think. Standard articulation, you can move her arm, do that, twist the hands a bit, kind of maybe, I'll be a bit more careful with that because I think it might snap. And then you've got, some knee articulation there, and can't really move the boots, unfortunately, which is a shame. And for sonicking, and unfortunately this set didn't come with a Sonic, which would have been nice, I think, especially with the fact that, the 13th Doctor hasn't been released a lot you know, and that, I mean, it's nice that they've still kept the sort of earring, sort of silver stuff there, I think, on the ear, and I think the likeness to Jodie Whittaker is really good in this figure, and I do like, as I say, the simplistic redesign of the, well, not even redesign, but just sort of paint on the coat. It really does make the sort of rainbow t-shirt and the rainbows on the sides pop more, I think, personally. And it makes the trousers even pop more, and the inside of the coat. I don't know if that's actually accurate to the actual original dark coat. Like, is it like greyish on the inside? Like, I mean, I guess actually thinking about it, it's the inverse of this, because this is sort of a dark blue on the inside, whereas, yeah, it's sort of light grey on the inside and grey there, and where there are the sort of dark bits on the light costume, there are light bits where, you know, so it is very much like her own anti-Jodie 13th Doctor Valeyard, in inverted commas, version of her costume, which I just like. It's so, for lack of a better term, again, simple, but so effective, you know, both in terms of, you know, as a figure, but also in the context of the show, I think, you know. I can't think of any other time we've really had an inverse costume within the context of the show. I mean, if there is one that you can think of, please do feel free to comment it below. I mean, I guess the closest thing that I can think of off the top of my head is maybe like going from like season 12 Tom costume-wise to season 18 Tom, you know. But yeah, and the head moves full 360, down and up a bit, down a bit, not a lot, but definitely up, to look up at the sky and wonder what the hell is going on with my life. But yeah, yeah, I think this is a decent set. It's nice that there's a new 13th Doctor sort of set, and nice that, although maybe character options, for lack of a better term, for whatever reason, maybe don't have all the money in the world at the moment, to make new figures, brand new figures, because like a lot of people would have loved obviously Carvanista or Dan as figures, but I think to still get 3 new figures from the sort of Flux era / sort of, for lack of a better term, like latter half of Jodie's run, that are variants of existing, for lack of a better term, action figures / dollies, so that it's easier for them to sort of, for lack of a better term, like churn them out quicker in a quicker time is good on the character options side, but also good for us as fans, because the alternative is, I suppose, us waiting another 6 months to a year for a Dan figure or a Carvanista figure or whatever else, you know, and then people would just bitch and moan that character options are representing this era, or don't like this era, or that this era is a failure because they're only bringing out another 4th Doctor thing, or another McCoy thing, a Sylvester McCoy thing, or whatever, or Tennant, or whatever, you know, as opposed to the 13th Doctor sort of thing. But, as I say, the only other way they can get figures out quickly enough is maybe by, as I say, redoing some pre-existing ones, and that. So that's why we've got Yaz, but, you know, in a different costume, but it's still basically on the face of it the same as this, but just slightly different, you know, same articulation but with a different shirt and different trousers, different hair sculpt, and maybe some different detailing in the face potentially. And likewise with Jodie, and then you've got like a different version of an angel, and that. So, and the angels are very popular as well, if not, you know, Sontarans and Daleks and Cybermen, which have all been very much redesigned in the Chibnall era. Maybe, again, another thing is that character options probably thought logically, oh, well, we already have angel, like, you know, sort of moulds and that, and so we can just put blue plastic, or inject what's left of the white sort of see-through Weeping Angel, and just inject a blue sort of plastic colouring into it to then make it different, in inverted commas, which I guess it is, but it isn't, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think this is a decent set. I think it retails for $21.99. here in the UK, and is exclusive to B&M and the B&M website, which is, as I say, where I purchased this from. I, as of this recording, haven't seen these, for lack of a better term, in the wild in shops, but maybe you have, and I hope you do if you do want to get this set. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please do comment, rate and subscribe to the channel.